This is the AeroPress portable coffee maker. I never go camping without it. Let's check it out.
Hit it.
Hey folks, Ben from Snowy's here today with the AeroPress coffee maker, something that's revolutionised how I make coffee when I go camping. I no longer mess around with those funnel style filters that seem to be a bit top heavy, and some of the espresso makers have got a lot of parts and a little bit fiddly. This is really simple, easy to clean, durable to transport, and it makes a nice coffee and all sorts of different variations. I'm going to tell you all about it today and show you how I make a coffee, and it will start with what comes in the box. Now, there's quite a few accessories that you get. We'll start with this guy here. It comes with 350 paper filters. Now you can get extras of these to refill this, but that probably lasts about a year, and that's a little holder. Now you don't have to take this holder when you go camping. You get a little scoop for your coffee. This is a stirrer that's just the right length to get almost to the bottom of your coffee maker without tearing up the paper filter. I'll tell you more about that shortly. This is a funnel to stick in the top of the coffee maker so you don't spill your coffee everywhere. And last two things is instruction manual, and these components here are what form the actual press itself. Now altogether, all these accessories weigh a little bit under 400 grams. If you're just going to take the press itself, this is just over 200 grams. So when I go camping, all I really take is the press, some filters, and I use a different spoon, but it's entirely up to you. Now when you pack this away, the whole thing, it kind of all fits together, and when it's packed like this, it is about 30 centimeters or just less than 30 centimeters in length and about 10 centimeters in width and height this way. Just the press itself is about 14 centimeters long like this. It does actually extend out to about 25 centimeters, but packed up, it's only about 14. So like I said, you don't have to take all of these accessories with you when you go camping. I just take this one and a spoon and the filters because I travel light, but taking all of it certainly enhances your AeroPress experience. Now it's all made with a BPA-free plastic, so it's safe to use. And I'm going to talk about the way that AeroPress recommends you make coffee in this today, but there is also another method called the inverted method. This will make more sense when I show you, but ideally you want the filter on the bottom. This sits on top of a cup, so all your water is down here and it's not top heavy. There is a way that which you can brew it this way, fill the top of the coffee maker at the top here, but it becomes unstable. So I do it that way when I'm at home, for example, and I know I can put it in a corner and it's safe from the kids. It's not going to topple over, but it does make it challenging on a wobbly camping table to brew it this way. So what I'm going to show you today is the AeroPress recommended way, which is to brew it in the machine just on top of a cup here like this. Now I've actually got my AeroPress here today that I've had for a while now. It's exactly the same to this one here, this being the newer version. The only difference being that the text on the front of the AeroPress, if I can just spin this around in the right spot, is now a red color, and this has kind of got a gray exterior on it, whereas this is more of a browner exterior with a gold color. So this is the old one, this is the new one. Apart from that, they both do exactly the same thing. So now I'm not going to dirty up this new AeroPress here today. I'm going to use mine to show you how it works. So I'm going to clear this up, make some space, and we'll get started. Okay, now I've got a glass here today. Normally I would use a proper mug like this. This is just one I've got off the shelf to show that the type of mug that I would normally have in my camp kit. I've used a glass so that you can actually see what the coffee looks like as it's made today. The first thing we need to do is remove the plunger out of this main portion of the coffee maker here. And we grab this bottom section here and a paper filter, and we've got to put a paper filter in place. Now some directions say to dampen this down or wet this down. May make a difference if your tastes are really picky. AeroPress don't really recommend one way or the other. This then screws into the bottom of the coffee maker like this, and that sits on top of our mug. Now we'll get our coffee ready. We'll get our little scoop here, and this is where we can use the funnel. Now I don't use this because I'm happy just to tip the coffee in the top here, but I do spill it every now and then. This stops it from spilling, gives you a nice wide area to tip your coffee into. Now AeroPress say for a single cup of coffee, you want to use a heaped scoop or heaped one of these scoops, or 1.5 level scoops. So if I just heap this now and tip that in the top there, that's roughly enough for one coffee. Now that is obviously all very dependent on your own personal preference. If I tap that, recommendations are to tap it just to level it out. You can see the coffee comes to just above where the corner of the actual press is here. Now there's a lot of different ways you can make coffee in this guy here, so it all comes down to personal preference. What AeroPress say is that 1.5 the heat scoop of coffee filled up to number 1 makes 1 shot of espresso style coffee. If you want to make 2 shots of espresso style coffee, put 2 heat scoops in and fill it up to around about the 2 mark, for 3 shots up to the 3 mark with 3 heat scoops, etc, etc. That's their recommendation, but you're going to make it how you like it. What I like to do is just put a single scoop in, and I fill it all up to the 3, sometimes the 4, and I brew it for a long time. I like doing it that way for camping purposes, in that I then just put a little bit of milk in the coffee afterwards, and I still get a nice coffee. I don't have to worry about transporting or keeping a lot of milk cold while I'm camping, and it means I'm only heating up water, not water and milk, when I'm making my coffee in the morning. So it makes cleanup of the whole coffee process easy, and I still get a nice coffee in the end. But that's just my way to do it. Play around with it. Different type of grinds. They do recommend a fine espresso type grind for this one. Try a different grind so you can make a coffee to your preference. Now from this point, we need to get some hot water, which I've got over here. I've got some hot water in the thermos, or just off boiling. They say I think about 94 or 95 degrees for coffee, but we can't measure it exactly. But just boil some water and we're going to tip it in. I'm just going to make a single shot here today, so I'm going to fill it up to around about the 1. Now we grab our little stirrer thing here. Now this is designed such that it doesn't go far enough to tear up the paper filter that the coffee is sitting on there. So if I put this in here to stir the grinds around so that the water steeps through all the grinds, I'm not tearing up that coffee filter on the bottom there. So you can see with this method here, the coffee immediately starts to drip through the filter there. If we were to use the inverted method, which isn't the one they recommend, the coffee just sits in the chamber for a long time, so you can let it brew for a while. So I would use the inverted method and leave it sitting for probably a few minutes before I plunge it down. But from this point here, we'll grab our plunger, we put it in the top. This is where it's important to use a sturdy cup. This is probably not ideal, it's a bit thin on the base, but you want a nice thick base cup. And we start to plunge the coffee down. Now we don't want to press too hard, we just ease it down. The harder we press, the more the beans compress in the bottom. We just keep easing it down. AeroPress actually say 20 to 40 seconds of time to push this down, so we don't push too hard. And that's hit the bottom now, has compressed the coffee, and we're done. And we've now got a nice shot of espresso style coffee. So from here, we can make this into a latte or a flat white style coffee by adding a fair bit of milk in there. It's kind of a cross between a filter coffee and an espresso coffee. It hasn't quite got the bite of an espresso. It's a bit of a smoother sort of coffee. Alternatively, like I say, I put more water in the chamber and fill this up further. I could add more coffee to make a stronger long black or American style coffee, or I could just put hot water in here to make a long black if I like. But as I said, for camping purposes, I prefer to use less milk, so I'm not worried about keeping the milk cold. So I just put more water in the chamber and make a nice, long, strong coffee. Now I want to talk about the cleanup of the AeroPress, because this is where I think it really comes into play well with camping. Now I can just give this stirrer a rinse in some water that's just got coffee grinds and some water on it. And the press itself is really easy to clean up. We take the base off here, and underneath there, that just needs a rinse in some water. And underneath here, we've got the puck of coffee. Now, I'll just put this aside because I want to show you that you can just eject the puck like this. If we take the filter off first, actually, we can actually reuse these filters. So throw it out if you like. They're just a paper filter, so they're going to compost down. Or give it a rinse, and you can actually reuse these over and over again. We then just push the top here to eject the puck of coffee. There's our puck of coffee there that can go in the compost or the bin or whatever. And all we need to do to clean this now is give this a rinse here to remove the coffee grinds off the base of the plunger there. As this plunger has gone through the chamber here, it's kind of cleaned this chamber out. So all we need to do is rinse that off. So it's be better to use some water to clean that up, but we could use paper towel. Give it a bit of a dry. Once this cap has been cleaned as well and rinsed, we can put that on the end, back in our storage bag, and we're good to go. Always important to store this compressed all the way so that this rubber seal sticks just out the bottom here and the plunger sits loosely. That way this plunger isn't stored compressed, so next time you use it, it's going to have a nice seal around the edge here as you're pressing your coffee down. Now that is the AeroPress recommended method for making coffee. As I said, when I'm at home or if I know I'm in a spot where I can leave the AeroPress sitting nice and sturdily, I like to use what's called the inverted method. So I'll stand it upside down this way. I'll put my coffee in the bottom and I'll fill this almost to the top here with coffee. My paper filter then goes in here as normal, and when I'm ready to brew, I put this in here, I put this on top. That will sit like that for as long as I want to brew it. I then grab a cup, I can't do that now, I put the cup on the top and I tip it over like this quickly and then plunge it down. As I said, that's not the recommended way to do it from AeroPress, purely from safety reasons, in that when this is full in the top here, it's top heavy, so you need to make sure you've got it in a place where it's not going to topple over. But I guess it just goes to prove that there is so many different ways that you can make coffee in the AeroPress. It is my favorite coffee maker outside of my espresso maker at home, which I can't take camping, it's too big. This is portable, durable, easy to clean, and makes great coffee. You can grab them online at snowies.com.au at our lowest prices every day. If you've got any questions, let us know down in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel, we'll send you all of our latest and greatest information, or check out some other videos like this one down here.